In the last lesson, we brought in these clips from Fab Asset Library so that we could replace these mountains with them. In this lesson, we're going to tweak the material parameters of the different material instances for these clips so that we could follow the color scheme we have for our shot. Okay, so let's get started. Now, before we actually go ahead and tweak the material parameters of these clips to follow the color scheme, I think what I want in here is to bring in a few assets from Fab Asset Library to break these patterns, because right now these clips look a little bit repetitive and too uniform for our shot. So what I'm going to do in here is to go ahead and download just a couple of assets from Fab Asset Library and then just place those assets in between so that we could break this repetitive pattern. Okay, so let's begin. I'm going to go into Fab and I'm going to go into 3D. I'm going to go down to Nature and Plants, select Rocks and Stones, type in Quixel, and it's going to show me the assets from Megascans. And then I'm going to type in Cliffs. And what I'm going to do in here is to download just a couple of assets from my scene. I like this one. Let's add this thing to the project. Okay, I'm going to save everything. And let's go back to Fab and download just one more asset for the scene. Okay. I'm going to go back to Fab and let's see. Yeah, this one looks good as well. So I'm going to download this one. I'm going to click on Add to Project. And there we go. I'm going to save everything and let's split the screen. I'm going to go into the sequencer and let's move ahead on the sequencer. I'm going to hide this asset for now. And let's see how this thing looks like in here. I'm going to scale this thing up just about there. And then move this thing a little bit back, maybe here. Okay. Yeah. Let's go into the content browser and I'm going to select 3D and enable the static mesh filter. So yeah, let's now bring in a few assets. I don't know why I can't see these assets. Okay, we just have to drag them a little and then they start to show up. Okay, let's see what we can do in here. I'm gonna go ahead and add this asset in here. Let's move back on the sequencer. There we go. And let's scale this thing up just about there. Rotate this thing. Maybe scale this a little bit up. Let me move forward on the sequencer. And let's see what we can do in here. There we go. You can see if I don't have this asset in here, you can see these repetitive patterns. They just look too uniform for our shot. So that is why I'm placing these assets in between so that it doesn't look so repetitive. Okay. Don't worry about the color scheme, of course. We're going to deal with this in this lesson. But for now, just focus on placing these assets. Yeah, I think this thing looks good. I'm going to go back into the content browser and maybe let's try this one. I'm going to scale this thing up. We're going to have to move back on the sequencer because I also want to look at the camera preview as well. Yeah, I think this thing looks good. Perhaps move this thing a little bit back on Y, or maybe not. Yeah, yeah, let's just keep it where it is. To be honest, I'm not sure if we should place this thing here. Let's see. I'm gonna move this thing. Maybe we should place this thing just about there. I'm gonna move this on Y. Let's see. Let me hide these front mountains. Let's see. Let's see what happens if I place this thing just about there. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Okay. Let's go back into the content browser and I'm gonna now try this one here. Okay. I'm gonna scale this thing up. Let's move back on the sequencer. I'm gonna rotate this thing on X, pull this up on Z, and move this thing on Y. And yeah, I think it looks pretty good. We just have to adjust the positioning here. And yeah, all good. Maybe let's place another asset somewhere around here. Maybe this one. Okay. Scale this thing up. Move this thing down here. Rotate this thing on Z. Scale it up once again. And move this thing back and place it just about there. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I think it looks good. Let's now bring in this one. Looks pretty huge. And let's see where we can place this thing. Not sure to be honest, but perhaps I should remove this one. What do you think? Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this one. And let's bring this thing here. Place it just about there. And the good thing is we can always create a duplicate copy of this asset and rotate this thing on Z and get an entirely different angle. Okay. I'm gonna move this thing here, just about there. And yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay. Let's move back. Yeah, I think we should add a little bit of variation in here as well. So I'm going to create a copy of this asset, rotate this thing like so, and let's see. Let me see where the problem actually is. Yeah, maybe just about there, somewhere around here. Yeah, I think now it looks a little bit better. Bring this thing down here and move this thing on X and then Y. Maybe rotate this thing like so and bring it just about there. Yeah, now it looks a little bit better. Okay. I'm gonna select this one in here and maybe this one or yeah, I'm gonna go ahead with this one. Let's create a copy and I'm gonna place it just about there. Okay. And I'm gonna bring this thing a little bit down on Z. And yeah, I think it looks better. I'm gonna rotate this thing on Z. And yeah, let's have a look. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good at this point. I'm gonna go back into the content browser and let's try this asset. Oh my God, look at the scale of this one. I'm gonna have to scale this thing down. And I think I can place this thing just about there. Okay. Let's create a duplicate copy of this one and let's see where we can place this thing. Perhaps a little bit around here. Yeah, I'm gonna move this on Y and place it just about there. Okay. I'm gonna bring this thing down. Okay. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good at this point, and we have some really good placement of cliffs. I think now we should go ahead and tweak the material parameters of these clips. Okay. So I'm gonna split the screen once again and let's select this asset. Sorry, this one right here. And let's see. I'm gonna open the material instance, check all these boxes, and fractionally increase the contrast. Just about there. Okay. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Maybe just a little bit more. There we go. Yeah, now it looks good. Okay, so I'm going to close this one. I'm going to now select this asset, open up the material instance, and yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Maybe I should go just a little bit easy on contrast in here. And yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Okay. I'm going to also decrease the red value in here as well. And maybe a little bit saturation as well. And now I'm going to increase the contrast. Perhaps a little bit more red value. Uh, I don't know. Let's try this again. I'm going to increase the contrast just about there. And I think it looks pretty good. Maybe just a little bit decrease in the saturation. Perhaps a little bit more brightness at this point. Maybe decrease the red value in here. No, I don't think it looks accurate. Let's open up the material instance again and decrease the red value in here. Increase the saturation. Um, oh, sorry, just a little bit more saturation and just a little bit more of red color. Yeah, I think now it looks good. Okay, I'm gonna close this one and let's see. I'm gonna now select this asset, open up the material instance and check all these boxes in here. And I'm gonna increase the contrast. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I think I'm gonna have a better idea after tweaking the material instances for this one. let's increase the contrast in here. Perhaps bring down the red value. And tweak the saturation as well. Let's increase the brightness. And yeah, I think now it looks good. Okay. Let's now open the material instance of this one. Maybe perhaps go a little bit easy on the contrast. I should increase the green value in here, give this thing a little bit of a yellowish tint, okay? Yeah, I think it looks good. Perhaps increase the saturation. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna close out this one. Change this to 1. I'm gonna change this to 1 as well and increase the contrast fraction. Yeah, okay. Now it looks better, okay? Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to bring this down. That is perhaps a little bit too much. Yeah, now it looks good, okay? I'm gonna close out this one and let's now do the same thing for this one as well. I'm gonna open the material instance, check all these boxes, increase the contrast, and let's see, maybe increase the green value in here as well. Just a little bit, just about there. Maybe give this thing a little bit of saturation, and I think it looks pretty good. Maybe just a little bit more contrast, and there we go. Okay, looks pretty good. Okay, let's see if we have anything else in here. Yeah, for the most part, I think all of them look pretty good. Still have to tweak the parameters for this one. So let's open up this one in here. I'm going to open the material instance, check all these boxes, and increase the contrast. And maybe give this thing maybe tweak the saturation as well. Yeah, I think it looks good. Let's move this thing. Let's move back on the sequencer. I think it looks good. Okay. Let's see what else do we have in here. Yeah, I think for the most part, they all look pretty good. Let's now tweak the parameters for this one. I'm going to check all these boxes. And let's increase the saturation in here. And then I'm going to increase the contrast. Let's move ahead on the sequencer. And this is the asset, I think. Yeah, this one it is. I'm going to save everything. And okay, perhaps the saturation is a little bit too much. Or not. No, I think the saturation is fine. I just need to adjust the contrast in here. Yeah, okay. And as you can see, it looks pretty good. I'm going to close this one. Let's open up this one in here. Open up the material instance and let's see. Let's give this thing a little bit of saturation and adjust the contrast. Maybe just about there. Maybe a little bit more saturation. Okay. Not really sure about this. Let's tweak the contrast. We have the saturation. Interesting. Let's increase the red value and see what happens. Yeah, now it looks good. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna fractionally bring down the contrast and decrease the brightness as well. Let's see. Okay. Perhaps a little bit less saturation. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna save everything and I'm gonna select this one and check all these boxes in here. And let's see. I'm gonna increase the contrast and probably a little bit red channel as well. Yeah, I think it looks good. So perhaps a little bit more brightness in here. Maybe not. Maybe just a little bit more saturation. Okay. Maybe I think I should keep this at 1 and let's keep this contrast value and I'm not so sure about this one. Let's give this thing a little bit of saturation, perhaps. Okay. Of course, it's not going to look exactly the same, but um, yeah, I think now it looks pretty good. Okay. Right. So let's see what else do we have in here. Yeah, I think we're done with all of them. And okay. Okay, I'm gonna move ahead on the sequencer and let's see how this thing looks like. I'm gonna close this one and save everything. There's still a difference between them. Let's give this thing just 2 more minutes and call it a day. Maybe I should increase the contrast in here. Yeah, I think it looks good. Let's see. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. So I'm gonna save everything in here and think I should also tweak the parameter for this one. I'm gonna open up the material instance and increase the contrast in here. Perhaps that's a little bit too much. Yeah, now it looks good. Okay. Yeah, I think now it looks better. So, I'm not just too happy for this one. So I want to bring down the contrast and yeah, I think now it looks a little bit better. Okay. Yeah, I think now it looks a lot better. So as you can see, now we have some really high quality clips And we also have a lot of variation going on, and we don't have any sort of repetitive patterns as well. So I think it looks good. I'm going to save everything and let's unlock the sequencer and see how this thing looks like with a little bit of depth of field. Okay. So I'm going to select the camera and I'm going to go down in here and change this focus method to manual. And I'm going to make sure that my character is in focus, and I'm going to uncheck this box. And the aperture at this point is 5. So let's see how this thing looks like. And as you can see, we have some insane amount of detailing here. The cavities and the visual depth of these cliffs just look so phenomenal. And if I just replace them with the mountains, you're going to see that they don't look good at all. If I just hide these cliffs and bring in these mountains, you can see we don't have that kind of detail that we have with these cliffs. Okay, there we go. So yeah, that's it for this lesson. And in the next lesson, we're going to bring in a few assets from Fab Asset Library to build up the surface. Because right now, if you look at the surface, you can see it just looks pitch flat. Okay, and I don't really blame the surface for that, because we did set the z value of this thing to 0.01. We did so that we could bring in few assets manually to build up the scene. Okay, so that's it for this lesson, and I'll see you guys in the next one.